So I wanted to talk about Benjamin Netanyahu this week, and not necessarily. So there's like a small piece of news, right? The Republicans are trying to get him to address Congress, and the piece of news that came out today specifically was that Schumer would not stop this from happening, which is a decent piece of news considering that Schumer kind of started off this whole thing when he came out pretty clearly saying Netanyahu's a problem here, and he called for Israel to hold re-elections to take him out of power. And that is probably, I mean, not probably, that is the most harsh statement that a U.S. government official has made about an Israeli prime minister or anything, probably ever. And it's a high-ranking, is the Senate Majority Leader who is also Jewish. Like, he is the highest-ranking Jewish member in our government. And that is a pretty big deal. And so, obviously, that whole saga is happening. And I'm pretty sure Netanyahu is going to address Congress because the Republicans want to happen and Schumer's going to stop it. But Schumer's breaking ranks with Biden on that one, which is a pretty big deal. And I think that the Democratic transition plan is going to be to pin this all on Netanyahu and try and like he's going to be the scapegoat. And I guess the question here, obviously, but will it work? Because I don't know. You think it'll work?
Oh yeah. No.
Like what would work be? Because it could work to certain different levels. Like would it be just like sand under the bridge, water under the bridge, for like the most of Americans, and then we're just gonna still be weird about it? You think it goes back to the status quo on October 5th?
I don't know about that. I think being completely objective here, it is sort of on Bibi. Like, this is Benjamin Netanyahu's bullshit. Like. Are there the legitimate, like, America's alliance with Israel and the amount of money we send them every year? That's a big fucking can of complicated that is really hard to explain to people. And I've tried in vain to do that. But we aren't sanctioning this the way it's playing out. We like the idea of Israel being able to flex their muscles in the region because that means that we have a strong military ally in the region where we get to keep those players in check without having to do a whole lot, which is why we were sort of like, yeah, go after them. That's fine. It turned very quick to genocide, and we did not like that because who does? But we were in that sticky situation where we like gave them the thumbs up to do something, and then when we didn't like the way we did it, like it was in that kind of thing. So will they be able to pin the genocide on Netanyahu? Yeah, because it's him pushing it. Like, his own people are against it. Like, the people in Israel are pissed off at him. He's the one pushing for it. And his negotiating point on this so far is I win or else. Like, there's no two-state solution for him. His only objective is I will destroy Palestine and I will make everything Israel. And that's not a negotiating point, right? And Biden's whole like jam foreign policy wise is and always has been diplomacy. That's his jam, finding compromise. And you can't compromise with I win or else. So there have been signs. So I had heard about it, but I hadn't like the extent of it. I didn't know that Schumer was okay with it. I knew Republicans were trying to get Bibi in. I didn't know Schumer was okay with
that
it.
That was new today.
Yeah. I must have missed that one. So I think the reason that Schumer is okay with it is because it will stop any like partisan bullshit about Democrats have turned on Israel if the Democrats are fine with like the prime minister addressing Congress. If you like my little conspiracies, I have
always love the conspiracies.
It's not really a conspiracy.
Ken, you are going to be the left wing's official royal expert and official conspiracy theorist. So you got two birds with one stone here.
Oh boy,
we have an internship open for a conspiracy correspondent, and you are
that's a conspiracy correspondent. I like that.
Yes, I like that, and it's the same initials, CCCC. It was meant to be. This is more like a political theory than a conspiracy theory, to be fair, because there's actual stuff I can point to in this one. So if you recall, like a couple weeks ago at this point, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, Benny Gantz was at the White House meeting with Joe Biden. Were you like, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he's like the biggest rival to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's the highest ranking member of like the rival party. And he's who would be in charge of Israel if it wasn't for Benjamin Netanyahu. They formed like a weird coalition government after the attacks on October 7th because like they didn't have a government because Bibi was so unpopular he couldn't form a government. Like everyone kind of forgets that. Like Benjamin Netanyahu was so unpopular prior to this attack that he wasn't able to form a government, and they were probably about to have elections again because they couldn't formulate a government, but they came together in a unity government to go after Gaza, which was fucking Bibi's wet dream come true because he's been wanting to destroy Gaza since, I don't know, he was 12 or some shit like that.
Isn't that really convenient?
Isn't it really convenient? Like, if you want to go to conspiracies, there's a path to go there. But this
I'm not. I don't call that a conspiracy. I call that
a conspiracy. Yeah,
I call that quite likely, and they have to prove otherwise.
That's fair. I'll go ahead and give you that. So what I think they're doing, and what I think Schumer is probably going to count on Biden taking advantage of, is that while Benjamin Netanyahu is here addressing Congress, Benny Gantz can be in Israel orchestrating the political takeover of the Israeli parliament that America's really good at doing. Like, we're really, really good at like moving actors around in other countries to make things happen that we want to happen. And we have a lot of people in Israel that do a lot for us on Benjamin Netanyahu's side, but also on Benny Gantz's side and also on other sides. So another thing you might be aware of, so there's like a timeline, right? So Benny Gantz meets at the White House with Joe Biden. Biden calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Schumer calls for elections in Israel. And what you guys might not know, because I didn't know about the other thing, but Benny Gantz was in Canada meeting with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau 2 days ago.
I did not know that.
So that means that he's now the biggest political opposition to the currently contentious Prime Minister of Israel funding and fueling a genocide, has now met with two of their country's largest political and or military allies, while one of them has openly called for new elections, and they're getting the Prime Minister out of Israel to talk to Congress, thus allowing for a potential coup to take place.
So I got it. I'm tying all of the conspiracies together here.
I'm so good at conspiracies.
This is totally going to happen, and we're going to fly Benjamin Netanyahu out on a Boeing plane.
Problem solved themselves.
And Kate Middleton is also going to happen to be on that plane.
On the same flight.
Plane goes down. Oh, it's Boeing's fault. And why did they kill the whistleblower? Because he found out about it.
He knew he was about to blow the lid off the whole thing.
It's all coming together.
You know what? That is a pretty little package, and I think
I like it. I like this a lot.
That's a TJ.
And in 1 hour and 2 minutes, we solved all the world's problems.
World hunger, it's all figured out.
Gone.
TJ, what do you think? Do you think there's credence to Gannon's theory? And
so here's what I had asked about Benny Gantz. I do remember when Benny Gantz was in Canada. Now, I don't know what his position is on the actual fight in Gaza, though. Like, is his position any different than that now? Because I'd be surprised if it was. But
it's different enough.
It's different enough. No, really. Go ahead.
He wants to put the rainbow flag on the bombs.
The worst part is that's kind of it. Like, it's not, but it is. He's one step closer to not crazy. Whereas Benjamin Netanyahu is kill everybody or else, he is open to a two-state solution. He is open to an independent Palestinian territory. And I know it's not a perfect solution, but again,
it's a terrible solution. But it
must be really hard. It must be really hard for Israelis to live with only those two options, like literal Satan and
no, it's not. Like
99% Hitler.
And the polls say that they're cool with it. Like, if you look at the actual, it's horrifying. Like how bad the polls are.
I was more so just drawing the parallel to what's going on here.
Right.
So basically the same thing.
So I think what they're trying to do is, because Benny Gantz would honor a ceasefire, he would stop laying waste to civilians, and that's the better part, right? So are his politics on how to handle the long-term solution better? Not really. Are his politics on how to handle the short-term solution better? Definitely. And if we're playing chess, this is a chess move that needs to be made for a future chess move to be made.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking, that I couldn't imagine that he was radically better. But if you offer him the deal that, look, we will back, your candidacy and your ascension to power on the condition that you put a stop to this mess that we're in right now, I can see him going along with that deal. And it would solve a lot of problems. It would solve. I mean, honestly, the main problem is like the death and destruction in Gaza. I mean, the other geopolitical stuff is secondary, in my opinion. But I wanted to mention something you brought up, that about the unpopularity of Netanyahu, because Netanyahu, sure, a lot of Israeli citizens do, it reminds me of who we were, 15 years ago with the whole war on terror thing, just radically in support of this death and destruction. But I remember it feels like 3-4 years ago, I saw the political trouble that Netanyahu was in. I was like, okay, that guy's gonna be gone in no time, and he kept sticking around. I was shocked that he was around this long. So I guess last year, like you said, you guys said, he went for broke. Like, why not? Things are falling apart now. I'm gonna do whatever I can. And this is a good moment to remind everyone that Benjamin Netanyahu grew up a couple miles from me
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Right? Pennsylvania.
He's just a dude from Philly, guys. So,
but
he's somehow risen to dictatorial status essentially in Israel.
Well, because obviously, a person of Jewish descent born in the Northeast United States has way more right to that land than a Palestinian whose family's been there for thousands of years. That just makes perfect sense, right? Because
obviously, TJ.
Yeah, because the nation of Israel was a nation until 586 BC. So it's been 2,500 years. But it all makes sense. Just think about it. And as far if this does work, our proposed theory here, and they do broker some way to put a stop to this, which they do want. They do want. This is when this first started, John and I, when we talked about this back in November and everything, and how there was a growing wave of people, not just on the left, honestly, just people like, hey, we need to do something this, and we're talking how it would hurt Biden. And one thing that I said many times is I didn't think it would really hurt Biden unless it dragged out until late summer or something, and it just keeps dragging out. I don't think anyone. I don't think they plan on this lasting as long as it did. So they do need to do something. And the fact that you remember when Vice President Harris went out and said, we need an immediate ceasefire for 6 weeks. Yeah. And when that happened and everything. And so the fact that they capitulated even on that shows that they are kind of worried about it. But if whatever plan happens, whatever they plan to stop it, I can't remember what you said, Cannon, about the American, how we would dismiss the difficulties of trying to reconcile the fact that we give Israel $3 billion a year. We've been doing so for at least 16 years now. And who knows how many billions going back. But I wrote down when you said that Americans will have no problem forgiving ourselves. We absolutely won't. We won't think about it for 5 minutes. We're like, oh, it's over. And then just move on like nothing ever happened. And that's what it preemptively upsets me. My cat is knocking over water bottles. You guys hear it. Sorry. But that preemptively upsets me that I know it's going to be the same thing happened with the war on terror, that we have 1 million people dead since 2001, nothing to show for it. When we invaded Afghanistan in 2003, and by the time we pulled out 2 years ago, the Taliban had controlled more land than when we had gone in there. We lost, untold amounts of human beings and equipment and money, and gives us no reckoning whatsoever. Whatever, mistakes happen. And that's the same thing's going to happen with Israel. And my heart is already broken for it already.
All right, guys, you made it to the end of the episode. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching this whole time. The algorithm really likes it. The algorithm also likes when you like and subscribe, and also when you comment about how stupid Elon Musk is. That's very important. So, and after you do that, you should also find our guest and comment on her videos about how stupid Elon Musk is. So, Cannon, how about you tell everyone where they can find you?
I'm you'll more likely find me on TikTok. That's where most of my followers are. So I'm at Cannon's Fodder. On Instagram as well, at Cannon's Fodder _TT or no _IG because it's Instagram. I'm terrible at telling people who I am. I also have a podcast. It's called Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics. And my co-host is Troy Matthews. You can find him at Keep Troy Blue, and he writes for Midas Media. He's one of their staff writers there as well. So he writes about Elon Musk being stupid quite often. So you'll be able to find plenty there. But yeah, that's where you can find me. That's what I do.
Thanks so much, Kathy. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you coming here all the way from the British Isles. We loved hearing everything you had to say. Folks, go follow her, follow Troy, follow John, follow myself. Our handles are down there, and do it, or we'll make fun of you the same way we make fun of Elon Musk.